This is RF, and you're listening to the Country Lunch Show on WOOL 91.5 FM from Bellows Falls. Let's get back to part two of our interview on March 4th with Paleo Mountain Man and Budcat 7.
So you have to keep that in mind while you're doing this research as well, and not assume that they only built a 1 foot high wall. In most instances, the walls are 2 to 3 feet high. In Mallory, I found walls that were 5 feet wide, 6 feet wide, but only like 2 or 3 feet high.
They were meant to stay there. They weren't meant to go anywhere.
And they were meant for particular different things, because those 6 foot and 5 foot wide stone walls are far different and built differently than the ones you see in Mallory. The ones you see in Mallory are more like, let's say, the stone walls that are built on your property, Jimmy, and around the Vermont area there. But you have these very special, and I've seen them elsewhere in other people's research and pictures and stuff, but you have these 5, 6 foot wide, think about it, 6 foot wide stone walls that are only like 3 foot high, and they're ended, and their entrances are marked with stones that weigh like 1,000 pounds, 600 pounds, 800 pounds, and built in a very specific way, openings in the walls. That's another thing that Barbara DeLong, the lady who began research on it, really like the first string, she said that there were a lot of times there was no purposeful openings in the wall, but I found a lot of them on Mallory, because Mallory, I believe, was in an administrative area, just like where Jimmy is.
Well, I still think that they could have created stone. I mean, from my point of view, it would be very easy to dig up earth, sieve out the stones from the earth, and then crush them a little and mix a certain type of mix. I mean, back then, you don't know what chemistry they had.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Al, but I don't think they apply to the stone walls of the Northeast. I think that applies, and I go through this on my channel. I talk about geopolymers. In fact, one of the most popular videos.
Right, that's what it is, geopolymers.
About it.
Yeah. There's a lot of stone to work with up in the Northeast. This is why they used it. In Ohio, they used earth because that's what they had. They built serpents out of earth, and here they built them out of stone. And
there was a lot of stone.
Like Dave says, every wall is a serpent.
And another point of view that I have is we're looking at the manpower to do this, build these walls. We're not looking at their deities or their angels or the spirit on the other side, which is working with them all the time, 24/7.
The supernatural part of it.
Right, the same with us. And they have a lot more to do with what was constructed than the actual labor of it, because they're the higher deity. And we don't know what supernatural powers they used back then.
Maybe.
That's possible.
Maybe. There's been a lot of speculation about that, and, from, you name it.
We can figure that out, I think.
These people were 10 and 12 and 14 feet tall. They didn't need a lot of extra help moving around the stones, because they were just so huge and powerful creatures. You'll see every once in a while, you see a sculpture of an elephant with a guy sitting on the back, and the elephant or the mastodon or the mammoth looks like a little pony from the fair, with this guy sitting on the back of the elephant there. So these people were huge, and you don't have to wonder so much about how they moved the stone. They just picked it up and brought it over there. And again, I say a lot of the dolmens that are found in Vermont and a lot of the dolmens that you'll find around the world are just your evidences of tests of strength, okay? Because that's what these people were about. They were about their strength. And when you see a dolmen in Vermont, there's a good chance there that some big, powerful guy lifted up that giant 2-ton boulder and placed a little stone under there to prop it up that they could just grab with one hand.
See, that was their spiritual nature too. That was their temple.
Oh yeah.
That was a temple to them, I believe.
Let me give a station ID and we'll continue on here, okay? This is DJ RF, and you're listening to Country Lunch on WOOL 91.5 FM from Bellows Falls, Vermont. And I'm here with Paleo Mountain Man and Budcat 7, and we're talking about stone wall construction and Megalithic people. Go ahead, take it away, guys.
Megalithic people, and there's so much sacred geometry.
Mega people.
The walls on Ephraim, the straight walls, the calendar walls, there's so much sacred geometry built into them. You have to know mathematics, have to know geometry, you have to have a very complicated way of thinking to even construct something that has that in it. And then to have it the wall itself that you built express that geometry when someone thousands of years later looks at it. It's an amazing accomplishment that the walls even are standing. Trees fall down on them, they grow up near them, the roots grow in them, and they're still standing because they cleared the ledge off, built them on ledge. Trees don't grow on ledge, but the stones will stand there forever and ever and ever.
And the weather weathers the stones too, don't they?
It puts a patina on
does.
them.
It does.
Algae and patina.
And what is left after it weathers? You got a picture of what was, of the people that were there and things like that, right?
Well, Jimmy's got a lot of pictures of the people that were there, pictures of them in stone, right, Jimmy?
They did a lot of not just large stone carving, but they carved tiny bits of stone, and they carved statues, and they carved artifacts. And the tools they used, they would put carvings in them. And a lot of what they carved were themselves. They were very vain. They wore large headdresses. They were very vain. They wore jewelry. They dressed up to the max. They had long beards.
They were pimped out. They would have pimped out people from the past.
Some of them had elongated skulls. Some of them had strange jaws.
They had vaulted craniums.
Some of them looked very
high
ape-like.
cranium, like Egghead from Batman.
These are the images they left, and they're all very natural-looking images. And you can coax them out of the stone. All you do is take photographs of it, and you just work with the photograph, and the way the light interacts with the stone in the photograph, the image just jumps right out of the stone, and the whole stone is formed like a giant dolmen is, to where the center of the stone is the natural center. It's balanced, and even in their small stones that they carve, they put a balance in that, a geometry in it, and that's their spirituality, was their geometry, and that's in their walls. Their language is a language of geometry. And
well, like many stone constructions of the past, okay, their purpose and meaning are manifold. Okay, so they cover any number of things, from spiritual use to practical use. So it's a combination of things that, indicate what the walls actually are. As I said, in a lot of places, what the spiritual meaning is, but there's also a practical use too. So these things are all combined into the meanings of the wall. So it's not just strictly one thing or another. It's a combination of things.
It is. It's the walls are practical. They're calendars. They were places of learning. You'd go there to learn, hear stories, tell stories, make objects, meet people you probably haven't seen all year, things like that. That's what. And
then to demarcate areas, to store stuff, to provide an administrative area, useful areas. I mean, so the meanings and the purposes of the walls are manifold. It's not just strictly one particular thing
different
or
walls
another.
did different things, and
right.
They were like buildings. They did different things, and some walls, like where I am, there's natural walkways through it where there's a giant stone that you'd walk on, and you can see that people did it for a long time. They walked through these walkways. And it doesn't break the continuity of the wall. What it does is it gives you a natural walkway, and it shows you where to walk. And it usually points you in a direction to something else. You don't just walk through the wall.
And it could very well be that, there are messages in the wall just adjacent to these openings that tell you exactly what it's all about.
For sure.
Okay, now you're talking about destination, how to perceive a destination. Okay.
Yeah, in the woods, there's the turtle rocks, the split stone cairns, small boulders placed at certain spots on the trail. They tell you which direction to go, which is a split trail, what's up ahead. If you walk up in the woods and you're walking through the woods and you see a split stone cairn that weighs several thousand pounds that took a lot of effort to build, you know someone put it there, and you know a lot when you come.
Oh yeah,
you come upon
Brian Gigliotti is finding a lot of those, and I mean they're travel markers. You know, I mean, if you have this
information
vast area of stone walls, and again, you had mentioned to Harry if he had taken a look at the LiDAR images, and I don't think he has, but you know, if anybody wants to see the LiDAR images of New Hampshire, right adjacent to the area where Jimmy is, I have videos on my channel that show the LiDAR mapping for New Hampshire. And when you look at the LiDAR mapping for New Hampshire from overhead, all you see is like the complete state, the whole entire state, filled with stone walls with no particular avenues or streets or anything like that. It's just one giant, massive walled area, right, Jimmy?
That's right.
Okay, hey, well, could you consider this? Think about this. He's talking about turtles in the walls, and Native Americans consider the North American continent and South America as Turtle Island. And maybe that's marking that this is Turtle Island. What is Europe? How do they mark Europe? Which is the symbol of Europe? So that you know what I mean?
Turtle Island.
Well, I think you had similar symbols over there. You know, you have a number of people over there that they often say, you know, I mean, people say Celts, Vikings, Phoenicians, you know, always related to the people in this area of the world from the past. So I think you have similar things. I mean, the turtle is, I think it's just a universal symbol all around the world. The turtle is used in so many people's mythology everywhere. But if the Native Americans were emulating these things, I think that they got them from the people who came before them.
Okay, but I guess I'll have to go to Newport, Rhode Island and visit that Viking structure down there. I may find the symbol for Europe down there.
Yeah, you're talking about the Newport Tower.
Yes.
I've done a video about that on my channel. They always been trying to figure out who built it, you know, whoever it was, Vikings, Celts, a lot of different people, but the thing still remains a mystery. According to mainstream, they did carbon dating of the mortar that was in the wall there, but the carbon dating's all fouled up anyway, so they don't have that right.
I'll have to do some research, and if they call it the American continent Turtle Island, I want to know what they call Europe. They call it Rabbit Land or
well, the turtle.
Doggerland.
The turtle
Doggerland.
itself. Think of the turtle
they
as
call
having
it Doggerland.
Think of the turtle as having three different separate planes of reality: the top shell, the bottom shell, and the turtles on the inside, which would be, say, the natural world where we are. The top shell would be the vault of the sky. The bottom shell, if you descend down there, that would be the underworld. That's exactly what it is. And the breaching whale coming through, say, the plane, the surface of the water is a plane. The breaching whale with its mouth open creates the universe. You start thinking like that. It's not just we place a stone because that's what we do. We do it because we have this passion for life and beauty and balance. And why make a giant dolmen balanced? Why not just throw the stone up there? You know, hey, we got the stone up there. No, they had to make it a giant balanced stone.
There was no purpose for those things other than spiritual and to make a statement.
And they had to do it. You're right, they had to do it. Someone said, well, we're going to build a dolmen and make this place a better place.
Right.
Okay.
It's all part of creating their environment.
Hey guys, I'm gonna call it for today. You don't mind, do you? Got anything?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Great, because
we'll come back next week. We'll talk more.
That's a total hour. Again, tell us about your website and where we can find more information.
Paleo Mountain Man on YouTube. I'll show you a lot of artifacts, a lot of geometric walls. try to tell the story of the strange things I've found.
A lot of faces of the people.
And the faces. If you've ever wondered what a red-haired giant really looked like, I have the faces, and I have the pictures.
Jimmy can show you.
I can show you.
And my channel is Stonewall Research, 3 separate words, Stonewall Research by Cat 7, and anybody can come over there. I have lots of videos on lots of different topics, but I do specialize in the walls of New York and New England and the large hominids or giants that live there.
Great. Well, thank you. It's been great talking to you. And
thanks, Al.
Thanks,
and hope you get back on next week. This is starting to get interesting. I told you I'm starting to have paranormal experiences, and I still say if I built a wall, a serpent wall, I would call it my mother-in-law wall, or my dog will bite you wall. You know, something like that. If I built one.
You get in trouble for that, Al. You know that. Right?
Well, I got to protect my other half here, you know, the savage world out there. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go, and I'm going to.
All right. Thanks so much, Al. Thanks
you. Dave.
All right, Jimmy. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.